Hi there, and welcome to my channel that I'm still calling Work in Progress, as we still begin to work through where this is going to evolve and kind of see where we're led, so to speak. Although I have the same goal that I've always had since this beginning, and that is to interview people just like you and me, everyday people, about the stories of your life's journey. You know, stories that maybe have some challenges that you've been able to overcome and that could help someone else, or challenges that you're in right now, or just thoughts or experiences that you've had that other people could take take away something from that experience. It's all over the place. Obviously, this channel is more suited for people on, we could call it the spiritual path. I don't really like that, but I don't know what else to call it. We're going through a major shift in the human evolution right now, so things are pretty dicey out there. And I believe that we can discover that we're much more alike than we are different. And I think right now what we're going through as this human species is the great divide, so to speak, where people feel they're not really at all alike, so to speak. And the truth is we're a lot alike. So what I'm hoping to attract is someone like you that would be willing to share an experience or, again, something of your life journey. And we do that on Zoom. I bring this up at the beginning. I'm still doing this at the beginning in case you decide not to stay till the end. My contact information is always below the videos. So if you have an interest in having a conversation with me about something that you would like to share, then contact me through that link that's below the video, and I promise I'll get back with you. So today what I want to talk about is something that's kind of challenging to talk about as I was thinking about this for myself, kind of exploring, curious from my own point of view. And what that is about the ego. Now, here's the dilemma, because there is a dilemma. The ego is looked at oftentimes as if it's real, if it's a real thing. Somebody might say, oh, he's an egomaniac, or that person's got a lot of ego. Or you might say that about yourself. My ego got out of hand, or I was really into my ego during this blah blah experience. And what this, in my opinion, what this does is it keeps us stuck in the illusion when we begin to speak as if the ego is actually a real something. Because it's not. It doesn't exist. We made it up. It's part of our making up of the character. It's keeping us in the illusion, in the dream out here. So how do we do this then? How do we recognize that there is no ego because there is no doer? Nothing like that exists. We're just having an experience as spirit. We're spirit, we're higher self, whatever you want to call it, source, soul. And in this experience, we are the observer of what's happening, appearing to happen in this external world. And we come in and forget that, right? When we incarnate, completely forget who we are. And in the earlier years, as we're young children growing up, we begin to take on beliefs and programming, I like to call it, just like a computer program gets installed from our culture, from our family, from whatever our environment is. And that begins to form a false self. Now, we forgot who we are when we came in, so we start to identify with this character that's having this experience in this movie, so to speak. And the truth is, we're just spirit watching, observing this, to have this experience. But we're not the character. So when we start to look at ego, that begins to create a whole other, what do we want to call it? A whole other attachment to being something that we're not. And it begins to take on a life of its own, so to speak. So here's what we need to look at. First of all, there is absolutely no such thing as an ego. There is no such thing as a me, Susie, at all. Or you, Joe, or Bill, or Karen, or whatever. There's no such, we don't exist like that. We exist by having an experience. It's a human experience that we're having as spirit. And the body is strictly the vehicle for this. But because our memory's wiped of who we are when we incarnate, then we begin, this is the game that happens. Now, to me, the ego is a big issue because that kind of ups the game. You know, it's like when we can think, oh, that person's got such a big ego. What's the opposite of ego? Humble, right? So somebody might say, oh, he or she is so humble, and that's looked at as positive. Ego, the judgment, is negative. Although sometimes you'll hear you have to have enough ego to be healthy. All of this keeps us in the game. That's all it does. So how do we begin to pull away, so to speak, or get unattached, detach from this, is we have to begin to look within. We have to begin to really look what's going on inside of us when we have identified someone, or maybe even ourselves, as an ego person, an ego-driven, egomaniac, ego anything. Well, what's really happening out there, but we just aren't aware of it, is the idea that somebody out there is an ego, or has a big ego, let's do it that way, happens from what's going on inside of us. You see, we can only project out there, and in order to project onto someone, it has to be something in our belief system, in our programming. It has to be that way. We can't project something out that isn't within ourselves. So a practice that I think may help, and I hope some of you try it and let me know what you think, and I've tried it for myself and it feels like it definitely helps, is when I begin to judge somebody as, you know, they're ego-driven, their ego is, or an egomaniac, or ego anything. Actually, I've been doing this anywhere, any way that I judge a person as, you know, where I find myself judging somebody as being too aggressive or being too this or too that. It's not positive, right? It's always going to be a judgment of the way someone is. And if I can have enough awareness, which I can sometimes, and so can you, to notice what I'm doing, then that helps me begin to go, whoa, wait a minute. It's like doing a U-turn, coming right back within, and recognizing that I am projecting this idea, this belief, this program onto this individual that really isn't an individual, but that's how we see them out there. I'm projecting that. They have nothing to do with it. Nothing. I am seeing something get triggered in me, that in this case we're talking about the ego, and I'm projecting that on that individual. This is amazing when you can start to watch it for yourself, start to really see it. You'll realize that every time that you have a judgment about someone, that you're just projecting something that's within you. They're just like the mirror out there. That's all it is. It's a mirror showing you what's going on inside of you. I know this is not easy stuff, right? But that's the only way we can start to move outside of the dream and really allow the true life, the true experience, let's call it that way, to come through us, to just flow through us. Another way to speak about that is, there is no doer here. Again, it's the false self. It's this character that we identify with as we've come into the body. But it's a false self. It doesn't exist. It doesn't. But if you can start to just peel away, like an onion, kind of peel away, how does this happen? How does this happen? Well, something gets triggered inside, just like you get angry, let's say, at somebody. You feel angry. When you really go within, you'll see that this anger got triggered from out there somewhere, but it's all about you. It's all about me. It's about me that's projecting out onto that person something that I now am triggered to be angry about. I know it's complicated and it's confusing and it's like a paradox, and yet it's what we're up against, And I think at this particular time that we're in, where we're moving through this evolutionary time, the challenges are just intense. The energy's intense, the challenges are intense, and it's really pushing us, definitely pushing hard, that we begin to unravel this mystery, or what appears to be a mystery, so that we can actually get involved in the right way into helping through this human evolution that's going on right now. It's not like just kind of happening whenever. There's a push. There's a intensity of energy that's causing people to start to really wake up and realize that what they've been in is a dream. It's been an illusion. That there's just the spirit, the higher self. And what's happening is it's an experience for sure, and the experience is coming through the body from the higher self. And the higher self is the one that's observing and observing this experience. So, we've talked about this before, where there's a lot of reasons that many of us think we come into this body, we incarnate. And for some people, it's believed that we come in to learn something, to do something. Maybe there's a mission, something that we're supposed to do here. Many, and I'm part of this group, many believe right now that if we are on this planet right now, we incarnated, particularly at this time, to contribute in some way to help through this human evolution. It's not an easy time to be here. It really isn't. It's a tough time, but we volunteered. Now, we forgot that we did it, but we did it. So the reason I'm bringing up, or I think the reason I'm bringing up the ego conversation today, is I think it's such a common place where we get lost, because somehow the ego is looked at as very real, and it's normally not looked at in a very positive way. And as humans, we tend, because we have this judgment that we've built in, or it got built in, we didn't do anything, right? But it got built in through however we grew up, and through our culture, and through parents, and through all kinds of ways. We have judgments, and we will differ in that way, or we think we have judgments. But it's really just that these judgments get triggered. They get triggered by what appears to be the external world. That's why, so many say nothing can change from out there. It must happen in here, internally. Nothing can change out there. You can't change anybody who's out there. You cannot. You have no ability to change someone. You may think you do. You may think that you're getting somewhere trying to change someone. But that's just another illusion. You can't. You can't change anything out there. It all has to happen in here where you change what's going on in here. So whatever the program is for you or me or any of us that's within us that starts to talk about an ego, whether it's our ego or somebody else's ego, that's a clue. You know, it's like we're really kind of unraveling this mystery, and we need to look for clues to help us unravel. So one really good clue is this whole idea when we're judging someone else. I'm using ego today, but we could be judging them in any particular way, in positive or negative. We could be judging somebody as such a humble person, such a caring person. That's positive, but that's also just coming from within. So we have humble and caring within us that gets triggered, okay? So it's just beginning to see where does any of this come from? Because whether you're judging somebody as a humble and caring and loving person, or you're judging somebody as a jerk and a ego-driven and a whatever, not so nice person, it doesn't matter. They're equal because they're just part of what's in us. There's nobody out there doing it. There's nobody out there being an ego. There's nobody out there being humble. Now this absolutely takes practice and an open mind. Definitely, you got to be open-minded to do this in order to start to unravel this mystery, in order to really start to come back to who we really are, which is spirit, higher self. That's where it's all coming from. And the more often that we can actually remember, I guess it is, or put an intention in our mind to really look at, okay, I'm judging this person, and where is this coming from? And then if you can go within and start to see, where did this idea come from? Where did this idea of ego come from? Okay, is that true? Is that really true? Is that what's going on? No. No, it's just a part of something inside of me that's a belief. And none of my beliefs, none of the beliefs or the programming are actually true. They're just beliefs and programming that got put in place at the time we incarnated and began to grow as a young child and pick all this up and then become, teenagers, young adults, and wherever we happen to be today. Yeah. Here's the thing, I believe this, that the more often we can catch ourselves in that judging, because here's the thing, when you if you really look at what you're doing, I think you may be surprised. I know, and I've talked to other people that have said the same thing. You kind of go like, oh my God, I didn't know I was judging that much. We judge all the time. We're judging all the time because we have all these beliefs and programs in us that are reacting or getting triggered, really, getting activated. Let's try it. Let's say it that way. They're getting activated, and so we're caught then in the judgment, in the good, bad, or ugly, or not right, or wrong, or not fair, or, think about it. It goes all over the place. When are we just looking and accepting and being in this flow of life with whatever it brings to us? The flow, the curiosity, the just watching the movie without all this judging, without fear, without needing to change anything. That's what really accepting is. It's just life flowing, and it changes because it's all energy. It's all it is. It's all energy, and energy is always in movement. So if you can just sit with uncomfortable energy for a while, it moves. It moves. But all this doesn't just happen on its own. It's not like one day we go, oh, this is how okay, this is how it is, and you wake up. I know there's people out there that have done that, at least that appears that they have. So I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's not the typical. For most of us, we need to have an awareness. We need to have time where we're going within and really looking at and examining and digging for the little pieces that can help us really see what's going on. Yeah, that's what it requires. So I don't want to belabor this, but I probably already have, right? It's just not so easy to talk about. A lot of this stuff isn't so easy to talk about, but I'm just going to keep talking about it, hoping that I get clearer and clearer, and hoping that also some of you will join in and we can have some conversations which can really help, because your experience probably is quite different than mine. And so everybody gets touched in different ways. So you sharing your experience and the next person sharing their experience, let's say it's all about ego. That's going to help those of us, all the rest of us, start to get a clue, start to find a way to unhook ourselves, detach ourselves from this dream. And then as a group, we support one another in the truth of what and who we really are. And we begin to see through the illusion, which then allows us to have incredible clarity. It allows us to move way beyond where we're at, caught in this 3D, third dimensional experience of all the separation, of all the judgment, and all the suffering that's going on. So that's what we want to try to do, right? I gotta take a sip here. Just a minute. What happens when I want to talk about something is I'll start to get, what a lot of people call downloads. I get it a lot from my automatic writing. And today it was about ego, but it was also about the shift that's going on right now for many of us is very intense and very challenging. And you can be feeling it in all different ways. Emotions, panic attacks, the intensity in the body, because the body is actually shifting energy as well. So it's not just, it's a physical that's going on, and an emotional, psychological, the whole game, the whole 9 yards is what is actually taking place for those of us here as we're moving into a different realm. And to do that, we have to release the old. We can't keep doing what we've been doing and expect something to change, right? Who said that? Somebody. So we need to gather together and support one another in doing this and moving outside of this system that we've been in that no longer serves us. I think most of us would admit that the world has become insane, that it's crazy, can't make sense out of it, that there's so many things that are just completely out of hand, out of even the belief system, really. The anger out there and all the things that are going on are trying to show us, whoa, it's time to wake up. So, on one level, yes, the energy is intense, it's not easy, it's not fun, many times to be in this situation. On the other hand, we're all here because of the situation, and because we are going to will be able to move through this evolutionary time by looking within. I know for me, there's never ever been a time, and I've been on what we call the path, the search, whatever, the spiritual journey, practically forever, it feels like. And long before many things were even really acceptable to talk about. But the intensity now, and I think, with social media and the internet, people can really speak more freely. They feel they can about their out-of-body experiences or their paranormal experiences or their challenges. And yeah, it takes bravery, because to really talk about challenges, you are putting yourself out there, and yes, there could be somebody or somebodies that are going to criticize and ridicule. That's all there too. So we have to kind of say, okay, am I able to deal with that? How will that help me move forward? And it will. It'll help you move forward. So that's what I think I'm looking at today, and I'll probably be looking at for several days, is practicing as I'm judging someone or something, good, bad, or otherwise, to be able to go within and discover what got triggered that I'm projecting out there on you. I mean, it is amazing. If you happen to be with a partner, married, whatever, living with a partner, or you don't even have to be, maybe you're engaged but you're not living together, who knows, regardless, but it's a close relationship. That is the time to really notice what you're doing, because that is amazing. So when I begin to get angry or something with my husband, or get frustrated because he didn't do something, I have to look within, Well, I don't have to. Sometimes I don't. But if I'm aware, I look within, and then I go, okay, what's going on? What's going on with me? Oh, there's a judgment about what he's doing. There's the judgment, what I grew up with, whatever, like, what's wrong with you is going on in my mind. You're not paying attention. You're not being in the moment. Whatever my judgment is, And then in looking at that, I begin to see that I've projected this belief, this program, onto him. So it looks like he's playing it out. That's what it looks like. But that's not what's happening. It's just that I projected. What I thought was what I forget, how do I want to say that that's just, it's within me. It has to be within me. It cannot be out there. So with a partner, like I said, close relationship, it's kind of in your face. But it gives you plenty of practice. Let me say that. Man, plenty of practice. Right there, Right there with that close relationship. I promise you it's going to give you tons of practice. So what I'd like to suggest is that you try some of this and let me know what you think, Try to begin to notice when you're judging. That's the first thing. Notice when you're judging, and then begin to look within to see how you're projecting a particular belief or program that's been put within you from your childhood on up, and see what that feels like. See what you actually begin to feel or observe from that. It's quite mind-blowing. It really is. So, and pick one thing, today I picked ego because I found that to be such an interesting subject, in the fact that we talk about ego all the time, people do, and that, oh my God, we're giving life to something that doesn't exist. It's like the make-believe friend that we have as children, It's the same thing. It's like the make-believe friend we had as a kid. We're just making this up. So I think enough said, and I'm sure you'd agree at this time by now. But anyway, give it a shot. Give it a shot, and let me know. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. Let me know your ideas or thoughts on this whole thing, and let's see if we can't kind of spread it out, get a different point of view maybe of looking at this, or a wider spectrum of looking at it. That would be a fun conversation, I think. And again, I'm going to remind you, if you have something that you're willing to share from your life journey, willing to have a conversation with me on Zoom and put it on this channel, that would be fantastic. And or leave me a comment, or whatever your thoughts are, leave me comments on that as well. And from that place is where we can start to see maybe a absolute direction, and maybe not. Maybe we don't have an absolute direction, and that's good too. So I'm going to remind you, if you like this video, please click like. Please, subscribe if you haven't already. And then there's that little doodad next to subscribe, that little, I don't know what it is, a bell or something. And if you click that, you'll be alerted to every time a video is posted. I think I mentioned the other day, and I'm going to try to do this, is I think I want to try to do videos more often in the week. And I don't know why, but I think there's just so much to talk about. And rather than try to glom it into one long video, break it down into little pieces, because I think that's how we all kind of get a better idea, as we break things down into pieces. So that is what I'm going to try to do. And what I want to say to you guys, or whoever's listening, because there's not you guys, it's whoever's listening, is one, take care of yourself. That's key, really notice when you need to be cared for, notice where maybe you're not taking such good care of yourself, and start to tune in that way into the inner world. Take some time every day to just sit quiet and go within. Try writing. I know I say this every time, but I promise you, the writing, journaling, however you do it, look up automatic writing if you don't know about that. It's no big deal. It's easy. But write, because that's going to let you, it's like a conversation that's going on that you're not aware of inside of you, where your guides can help you. And yes, we all have guides, and I'm telling you, the guides right now are in full force, full force. They're there for us. We're so supported right now in this evolutionary time. So tune into your guides as well. Okie dokie. So until next time, what do we want to say? I guess I'll say that's all, folks. I think that's a cartoon, right? Okay, I'm back with my clicker. Let's see if I can make this click in one click. I'm going to give it a shot. No.